certainty, or they're selling you on their excuses, bullshit, and fear on why they should remain the same and not do it. Or they're selling you on their excuses, bullshit, and so you need to ask the questions remain the same and not to reframe those beliefs, and you need to hold ironclad certainty to get them across the line. Otherwise, they'll just remain the same. And you need to hold ironclad certainty to get them across the line. Otherwise, they'll just remain the same. And you need to hold ironclad certainty to get them across the line. 17. If a lead doesn't buy, it means they see more pain in investing money on why they should remain staying the same. Your job is to make their current reality more painful than the investment or time invested. All right. So, people that don't invest, they either see the money or the time they've got to sacrifice and put into a new training is going to give them more pressure. So then sometimes they would rather not have that pressure and remain the same than invest the money so they can make the change. Okay, so we need to build a gap in their mind from where they are now and where they want to be, and ask like costs of inaction questions like, so what happens if you don't change? What happens if you keep dragging this out in another 90 days? Where will you be? Or reframe it and say, look, everybody's got a busy season in life. The truth is, we're always going to be busy in life. But the most successful people during a busy season, they're still able to time block aside 2 hours a day to focus on their goals. So then when it's an easier season and everything's flowing again, it's going to be a non-negotiable that you maintain those standards because you're not making excuses. Okay. So you just got to realize pretty much anything that anyone says on a sales call is just a lie, and it's just a smoke screen as to why they're not going to book another call or they're not going to close. And we haven't been able to drill down and unpack and isolate the true reason why they're not moving forward. 18, the key to handling objections is to eliminate them early with smart questions. If you handle the objections early, like money, time, or information, think about it, logistics, fear, trust, uncertainty, and you pull them up early and smooth them over, then you can just pick out which ones could potentially occur in the close if they have a partner or not, for example. Are they financially qualified? Are they seeming like they're a busy person where there's going to be a time objection? Do they have sense of urgency where it's the right timing? If we tie all those objections down and ask them early, then they won't occur in the close. Okay, so the key to handling objections is to eliminate them before they occur in the close. It's better to talk about them early when it's a conversation and you bring them up first before they bring them up when you've revealed price and now there's a pressure to make a decision. So they get in their head and they start making excuses and giving you stories. 19. If your sincerity is 10 out of 10, certainty is 10 out of 10, and the offer is 10 out of 10, you will close like a machine. So this is coming back to genuine intent. If you're genuine and they feel like you care, you're sincere, it's 10 out of 10 on the call. Your certainty and conviction is 10 out of 10. And the offer is a match to them in terms of they want someone in Australia, you can help them invest in property and you're credible and it syncs up to their needs and pain points, then the offer will be 10 out of 10. Okay. Another sync is if someone wants to learn remote closing, they prefer to work with someone from Australia and they want, support with placement, then that's a match with our training. I'm Australian, they want to learn remote closing. I'm one of the only one that does it and I help with placement. And they're like, bang, bang, bang. It's everything they need. Okay. That's where you get like product to market fit. People hate being sold to, but they love to buy. Don't sell, just talk naturally and ask the right questions so they come to their own conclusion. So this is the golden art, guys, of the modern day salesperson. It's more about asking questions where we pull up their intrinsic pain points, wants, needs, and desires. And we ask questions where we pull up their own inner limiting beliefs, concerns, and objections around buying. But we don't we ask questions where they verbalize their pain points and objections. I think it's in one of the books, How to Think and Influence People. there's some concepts in there that people don't like to be sold to. They like people that speak to their interests, and they like people that ask questions where they come to their own conclusions.
That's in How to Win Friends and Influence People. I just
That's
read
it.
it.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Famous book. So there's some concepts in there around, instead of telling, ask questions where people come to their own conclusions. Speak to people's own interests and values versus your own and your own agendas, and make it about them. Because anytime you do a business deal, you approach a business like Shark Tank, or you go to sell someone, they're not thinking about your reasons. They're always thinking the word with them, which is, what the fuck is in it for me? They might not think that blunt, but they're thinking, what's in it for me? What's the bottom line? What do you get out of this? Or why are you giving all this value away? What do you get out of it? Sometimes people ask. Well, that all sounds awesome. You're gonna, provide me salespeople, but what do you get out of this? What do you want out of this? Why are you telling me all this, or why are you giving this value for free? So a lot of people are naturally skeptical, and they assume that things are going to cost money, there's going to be a price, or that you want something out of it because it's a selfish world, and people are being burnt. So you just got to remember that you need to speak from the frame of their why, their values, their needs, wants, and goals, because people are always thinking, what's in it for me? And people like people who are like them, and people like people who talk to their interests, and people like the sound of their own voice, and people want to be heard. So that's why they need to be talking more than you, and you need to be the one controlling the interaction, asking questions, pulling up their truth, and having, them be heard and share their inner world. If you're waffling, talking more than them, you're interrupting them, you're cutting them off, and they just won't feel heard. In a world where no one listens, people just want people who listen. And if you listen more than you speak, where they speak 60% of the time and you ask questions, acknowledge what they say, make statements, and add value some of the time, which is 40% of the time, then that's the right equation. And many salespeople don't get that. They just waffle and get on a script and talk over the top of someone. The next one, go hard or go home. You're literally on a sales call. Like, just see it for what it is. It's just a speck in time. It's one moment in time. It's just a sales call. It's so insignificant. You'll most likely never see this person again. So sometimes we just need to zoom out to all the planets, all the stars, that there's billions of people on planet Earth, that there's all these countries and continents, and zoom out from our little situation in our little postcode, in our little house, that this issue that this person just hung up or didn't buy or swore at me or is being a bit arrogant and in their ego or a bit skeptical. And we're making this huge problem in our head. But when we zoom out, we'll ask ourselves, is this going to matter in a week? Is this going to matter in 12 months? Is this going to matter when I'm 80 and on my deathbed? Is this really a world, political issue like the pandemic? It's just so insignificant, guys. Like, some of you are so afraid to just speak with conviction, be expressive, be who you are, in fear of what people think. And in the grand scheme of things, if you zoom out, it's so insignificant. Okay? So there is no excuse to not go for the close with certainty, handle objections, and ask for referrals. Remove emotion, bring your A game. So you just need to remind yourself, I'm between four walls. I need to set appointments and close, or I don't make money. Would I rather piss myself off because I'm not living to my values, my goals, providing for my family, and getting to where I want to be? Or would I rather just prod and sort of slightly challenge and create a bit of resistance in my prospect because I decide to objection handle 2, 3 more times? Because I asked for that referral when most people are afraid to, because I asked that extra commitment question to firm up and know with ironclad certainty they're going to show to the next call. Because I asked them what the hesitation is around them watching the resources. All right. So sometimes you just got to get out of your head, guys, into your truth, and literally realize you're never going to see this person. You're between four walls. Like, get over yourself. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Just do what you need to do to set appointments and, be expressive, be certain, speak with authority, and get out of your head. 22, I choose the end result of being a $1 million remote closer, banking millions in cash or changing lives. 23, we are the prize. They reached out for a reason. They have a problem. Hold authority and connect it genuinely. Uncover their true pain points, have the real conversation about their pain points and goals. Prescribe a solution, handle objections up front, and get them started. That's literally all we're doing, guys, in a sales call. We hold the authority in the frame that they put their details in or they book the call because they're the one with the problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't scroll across the internet feed, fill out a form for a free training, or book a call if they're not interested. So we need to hold that frame. They need us. We don't need them because they're the one that booked the call and put their details in. So we are the authority. We have what they want. We are the prize. They reached out for a reason. We need to hold that frame and authority that they have the problem. I couldn't give a shit if they're doing over 10 million a year, a million a month, 2, 3 million a month. They're a billionaire. If they're booking a call and you might be a health and fitness expert where, you have one of the best physiques and health in the world, like, do you think the UFC trainers and UFC fighters that are, training Mark Zuckerberg right now, who's the owner of Facebook, who's one of the wealthiest men on planet Earth, do you think they're afraid to teach him wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts just because he's a billionaire? No, because they're credible in that area. So sometimes, even if someone's a billionaire, you can't put them on a pedestal and shrink down because they've come to you because you're the expert and authority figure in that one specific area where they want to grow. Okay? So just remember that in the essence, they have a specific pain point and they're coming to you because you're the authority and expert that can help them get to where they want to go. So it doesn't matter if they're Donald Trump or a millionaire or billionaire. If they have that pain point, you're the authority figure and expert that can solve it. And you've obviously got the track record through what you sell, of hundreds of clients doing it. So you should be confident. 24, the key to every sales call is genuine intent and getting to the truth. Disarm them with your tone, be real, and have a natural human to human interaction. Same formula I mentioned before. The lead talks 60% of the time, you talk 40% of the time. Ask smart questions, make statements, and acknowledge what they just said so they feel heard. Have honest conversations, add value in doses some of the time to add to what they've said and show that you're an authority. Probe deeper where you need to by saying things like, tell me more about that, or I noticed some hesitation, what's behind that? Or can you elaborate more on that? Or I noticed some hesitation there, what's behind that? Or when you say, that you need to think about it, what do you feel is coming up for you? They're all probing questions. That's where we get a chance to go deeper and we get to the truth. Handle concerns early and raise their commitment. In the end, it's your truth versus their truth. It's their fear versus your truth that they should do it. We're holding them to the best version of themselves. So we need to hold them to their higher self, the 10x version that believes they can achieve everything, that can make the millions or make the 150,000 years a remote closer. So if they're saying all those things, we need to hold them higher. We need to hold them to that level. And then when they go, oh yeah, but it's $6,000. I can't really afford it right now. The cost of living, the economy. Well, it's like, hold on. Would the version of you that's making 150,000 a year as a remote closer working in Thailand, would he have this same excuse? Or is that their old identity? So that's a chance for us to raise their commitment and get them refocused back on the end result and the identity of who they want to become versus adopting their old beliefs, scarcity, and identity down here. Okay. So a lot of the time why people don't buy, guys, is because we need to hold them higher. We need to raise their standards, their commitment, and give them the right beliefs and views. And, by reframing their inner dialogue and views on things so they actually buy. The lead should always be emotionally invested more than you and speak honestly. I believe most salespeople are having the wrong conversation. They're having a surface level ego conversation. So you need to have the real conversation that is behind their ego, external persona and facade, and all their achievements that they want to rail off and big note to. You need to enter their world with natural curiosity. So an example of that I shared before is my friend. He was talking to a guy that's one of the best personal trainers, and he charges, $1,000 just for a 1 hour PT session. And he's like a genius at what he does, the best. He gets people insane results. He holds them accountable. And, he's just a gun at what he does. And he just has thousands of testimonials across years. And he's one of the most renowned experts in the space. And sometimes these people that have a lot of like are high achievers, more sophisticated, and they're doing well in their life compared to the average person, sometimes they've got a bit of ego and a facade. So they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm getting all these results from my clients. I don't really feel like I need a marketing agency or business coach. We're getting all these results. And sometimes you've got to ask questions that just, penetrate through that facade and ego they have and really just get to the bottom of it, or ask questions that get past their ego, where you're asking so many questions in a row where after a while it's hard for them to sort of maintain that facade. So sometimes you've got to be direct with some people and ask a permission question like, hey, James, do you mind if I'm honest with you for a minute? If you're so smart, how come you're not rich and you're only making 5,000 a month? So that's sometimes what you can say to someone. Okay, if you're so smart and you're doing this OnlyFans agency, digital marketing agency, you're running a drop shipping business, and you don't think you need our help because you're doing all these things, then why are you only making 10,000 a month and not 150,000 a month like you want to? So sometimes you just need to hit them with the elephant in the room, the uncomfortable truth. But most people are afraid to do that because normally high achievers, sophisticated prospects, they've got a lot of certainty. They speak with a lot of confidence. But when you really decipher their situation, there's a gap. There's something missing. And they've come to that call for that reason. But if you don't really ask those questions, so then why are you here? Yeah, like I get it. I acknowledge, you've got 5 cafes, you've won all these awards. But what brings you to this call? So sometimes when you're selling to business owners and they're really proud of what they're doing, they'll come to a call with this facade and they want to talk about their business because they're really passionate about it and they're doing well. But they're not sharing the truth behind the scenes, that they're barely able to pay payroll, that they're behind on their ATO bill, that they've got all these constraints in their business because they're just showing, the highlight reel. So if you have that assumption with every person, that every person has insecurities, problems, they're only a human just like us, no matter what the external facade is, you sort of start to call a spade and you start to see that everything online on social media and every business owner has problems. But social media and what they're sharing is more just the small positives versus the truth of their life. So you just need to have that awareness so that you can cut through sometimes people's ego, but you're doing it in a way that's not going to trigger defense in their ego. You know what I mean? You got to do it in a way that opens them up. And that's why I like asking permission questions like, hey, Nick, do you mind if I'm honest with you? Or with my friends when they don't want advice because they don't like to be told, because the male ego, it's easier if you just go, hey, do you want my advice on this? Or hey, do you want some feedback? You know what I mean? Then they're more open to hearing it because they said yes. So you're pacing them into it. Whereas if you just start giving them unsolicited advice, or you just start projecting on them or going, oh well, dude, fucking get it sorted then. The Rock trains twice a day at the gym, why can't you? Sometimes you'll trigger your friend's ego and then they'll get their pride up, even though that it's true. But then because of the way that you've said it, they're not going to take it on board and listen because you've offended them. You know what I mean? So sometimes your friends just want you to be their friends. They don't want you to just be all commando and coach on them. So sometimes you've got to ask, hey, do you want my advice on this? and they'll be more open to hearing it. And it's the same thing in sales. Hey, do you want feedback on this? Hey, do you mind if I give you some advice on this? Or do you mind if I'm honest with you for a second? Or sometimes you just got to prod and nod a little bit. And they're like, oh, yeah, everything's all good in our business. We just need more leads, but it's all right. We've got the solutions. We're sort of implementing them already. And then you go, okay, is that the only thing or is there anything else if you were honest? And you need to have like that slightly skeptical tone. And then that's where people feel like, oh, he's prodding for like a real genuine answer now. And they've got to give you a bit more. So just doing those things, sometimes it puts people in the hot seat, and just doing that a little bit, it gets a better answer out of them, a more truthful answer. So if people are like, yeah, we're doing this, we're fine, we don't feel like we need help. And then you got to say things like, so what brings you to the call? What are you struggling with right now, if you were honest? Or what's one area that you would fix in your business if we could help you? Okay. So that's pretty much it, guys. Final thoughts. You are in control of every sales call and must hold authority where the conversation goes. You have the skills, mindset, and certainty to win, genuine intent, high conviction, authority, natural curiosity when asking questions, and hold certainty when closing. Go out there, set appointments, and close sales. So you should read this every day, guys, but you can scan through it in probably 5 minutes, and then maybe you can choose 5 that you really want to focus on and just get in that state in front of the mirror. I'm telling you, if you read this every day for 60 days, it will just reprogram your beliefs around sales. You'll remove junk beliefs and your inner game will be rock solid. Cool. So which one of that stood out like the most out of the 25? Which one did you feel a shift or you feel like it's going to really help you? Just at the top of the mind, which one?
I just like the fact that if you relate back to things being systemized in a process, that you can say to yourself, I don't have to be a guru and I don't have to be so super incredibly skilled. I just have to be prepared to learn and follow and be disciplined and apply myself to a process. And that process, it'll take me forward. Even if that's just one step at a time, I'm still moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Marketing and sales is just following a process. If the process is dialed and refined, you make sales. It's just a machine, and if you can get salespeople that follow the process because you've designed it to an art form where it really hits the pain points and syncs to your ideal avatar, then you'll close sales. Guys, you just can't skip steps. You got to just get yourself into that right belief system, have the right tone, ask the right questions, and get that right flow down, and people will close. It's pretty simple. Who has another one?
I
Yeah.
think one thing for me was just realizing that they've got the problem, you've got the solution. So you're on the pedestal in their eyes. Well, you should be, and that's why you need to have that authoritative tone and just really like think to yourself, you've got the solution. They need you. And that's what's like, yeah, really important.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to remind yourself of that. Like we've helped millions of people. Look at all your reviews, your testimonials. Go to your win bank of all your clients and look at that and remind yourself of how many people you've helped or the company you're selling for, and realize when they're giving you a skeptical response, they're making 20,000 a month in their business, and you've helped people get to 100,000 a month, and they're like, "Oh no, it's all good. We don't need help." Sometimes you can take that at face value and go, "Oh, they're not interested. They don't need help." But then you think about it and reflect about how many people you've helped and the type of results you can get them, and you're like, "That's just bullshit." They're just giving you a knee-jerk reaction early in the process because they haven't gone through your social media, and they're making an uneducated knee-jerk decision when they don't even know everything about what your company does and offer. But new salespeople, they take that at face value when someone says, "Oh, I'm busy, I'm not interested," or, "We're fine, we're doing all good in the business." Instead of probing and going, "Oh, that's interesting. I've never met a business owner that doesn't have a problem before." You must be the first. So sometimes you got to get through to people and they'll be taken a bit back because they haven't had anyone